Hello everyone, Seraphin here, welcome back for more Fire Emblem Blazing Sword. When I last left you guys, we just finished up a very integral chapter, that being... Oh, I can't remember what it's called anymore. Oh well, not important. Anyway, moving on to chapter 28, this is Valorous Roland. Roland, you may recall, is one of the 8 legends of old that fought the dragons alongside Athos and Bramamon, the 2 guys we met last chapter. We're going to a mountain cave just outside of Ostia. We have our newly promoted Knight Lord Eliwood going in to pass a trial to obtain said powerful weapon. Must overcome the challenge with the help of his friends. Well, it's good that he has help and not, you know, you must do this on your own kind of a thing. Because, as much as I like Eliwood, I'm not always certain that he's capable of handling things on his own. Especially not when it comes to passing some long, arduous combat trial. And we're going to see just how involved that particular situation is right now. Well, not quite. I guess we're going to do a little interlude first with our good old friend Nurgle here and his newly recaptured dragon girl. Well, yeah, of course. Like, she wasn't actually gonna help you. Did you honestly think that? Oh, good. So that's cool. Yeah, but why? Like, I never understood these whole ruling the world kind of master plots like this. Like, so, if you're gonna conquer the world and, like, kill everybody who gets in your way just so you can rule everybody, like, what is the point of that? Like, why would you want that? I don't understand. You're gonna be ruling over a whole lot of nothing at that point. And you're always gonna be hounded by resistance at every possible turn. Just like Nurgle, for example. Well then, why do you need her at all? She's very upset. Oh dear. He's standing in a very large shadow by the looks of it. Her true form, you say. Oh, then there goes the shadow. What does he look all pleased about? Oh boy. I don't know that they actually do this particular little interlude during Hector's quest. I think it's only during Eliwood's. If I'm being completely honest with you, because I don't recall having seen that in a very, very long time. You never imagined there could be a place like this? A molten volcano cave? I'm sure if you looked hard enough you might have found something like this. Lava everywhere. Don't go mining in that. Huh, there's an altar built here. Durandal is the name of the sword that Roland used. Weapons we wielded contained great strength. They never explain how those weapons were forged or why these people were so special that they could wield them even though mere mortals were incapable of doing so. That's something that I feel was a bit of a lost opportunity to explain, like, what made these 8 legends so good that they could use these weapons, and who made these weapons, and where did they come from, and how did they do it? None of that's ever explained. They just keep saying, oh, the 8 generals, they were awesome, and they used these wicked awesome weapons that only they could use, and to have anybody else use them now would be heresy, and they couldn't do it, and it would be too powerful for them, and it's like, wait a minute, what? As far as I can tell, Eliwood's just a normal old dude, so why does he get to be able to use this sword? I know it's not because he's a noble, because there's plenty of other nobles that are much higher ranking than him that potentially could have the same ability. Go and prove that you have the might to wield Durandal. Well, we'll see. So, as per usual, I went ahead and pre-arranged the battle preparations for this particular map. I can't bring very many people. In fact, I can only bring 5. And Eliwood is required, obviously, because it's his little trial here. I did feed him a couple of stat boosters, as I mentioned last time, I believe, so he's got really good stats for a level 1 Night Lord. I'm actually really impressed. Nothing below 12. So that's very good. I would really, really like his defense to be a bit higher than that, if I'm being honest, but I will have to settle for that for the time being. I raised his con artificially with the body ring. You can see there it's 9+2, so he can wield things that are slightly heavier than he otherwise would be able to. For example, lances. Sadly, a steel lance still weighs him down. Javelin does not, thankfully. Obviously, his swords don't either. I don't think there's a single sword that weighs more than 11 in this game, if I'm being totally honest. Even the Brave Sword, which we aren't going to have, so it doesn't matter. And thankfully, Eliwood does come with D rank in spears. I like how it says spears here on this mastery chart, but they're referred to as lances in every other context. Spears in this game were strictly referred to ones that you could throw in. So, I always found that dichotomy a little strange. That being said, we are also bringing Blade Lord Lyn because she's awesome, and I brought Lucius as a healing backup. And over here we have Rebecca to pick off all these archers that are over here. And we brought Heath as well, obviously with the Delphi shield, so he doesn't get picked off by snipers himself, for some aerial support. And you'll see that all three of these groups are kind of split off from each other. They're separated by these big chasms of lava and whatnot, and these walls that run the whole way. I do believe all three of them do meet up toward the end here at the boss. This is Georg, I believe is how you pronounce that. He comes equipped with a tomahawk that he will drop upon death. He is, however, very intimidating. He is a berserker, so he has an innate additional crit rate. You'll see he's got 28 crit just with the tomahawk there. And he's a little imposing. A lot of defenses, a lot of strength. Not overly fast, but I think even Eliwood's going to have a hard time doubling him unless he gets some serious wicked speed level ups during this map. We'll have to wait and see. So that'll be fun. And we have a handful of promoted enemies blocking our path, including a bolting sage, because of course, why wouldn't there be a bolting person on this map? I didn't actually bother to check and see if there was anybody else capable of using long-range magic. I probably should have done that. I did scout ahead. There really isn't anything worth having a thief for, so I'm not bringing one. You'll see this Myrmidon here drops an additional rapier for Eliwood that only he can use. Lots of guys with elixirs that they will drop, which is nice. I need those for later. There's a pure water, but I really don't need any of that right now. So yeah, just the bolting guy to worry about in terms of long range, and I think Lucius will be able to adequately tank that without any issues. Even Eliwood's got pretty reasonable resistance, so we're going to get right into it. And I'm going to try to give Eliwood as much experience as I can this chapter, obviously because, well, it's his trial, and he needs the experience the most, so... Thankfully, he's not going to have any hard times one-shotting these guys with a silver sword. However, I didn't pack him a lot of refills for that, as you can see. So I'm expecting that he will not have to rely on that entirely. I would like to get his lance rank up, if at all possible. Which, again, I don't think should be that difficult, but don't quote me on that. We're going to have Lyn pick off this mage in a single shot. Whoever says Lyn is not strong enough to adequately kill people, I don't understand. I know I rambled on a little bit about this last episode about how some people are, I think, not fair with regards to certain units in this game, or other games in general too, in the series, about how, oh, they're just not good because XYZ reason. And every reason I hear for Lyn not being a good unit is she's not strong enough to kill things in a single round. And my experience with her, not just, you know, in this playthrough, but every single playthrough, she never has any difficulty killing things. She'll have a hard time one-rounding generals, but everybody does, unless they're a magic unit. I guess Dart normally wouldn't. Even Dart has sometimes trouble with that, depending on how tough they are, but to say that she's unusable... Oh, geez, I forgot about the fire traps. So, I don't know if you guys can tell, but some of the floor tiles, the little cobblestone tiles on the floor, are a different color. Like, here's a normal paving floor, and then you have this one right next to it. You can see they're different. The ones that are lit up orange like that are a fire trap. And if you stand on that at the end of the turn, it will erupt in fire and do 10 damage to you. A flat 10 damage no matter what your stats are. However, they do not discriminate, and they will hit the enemy units as well as me. So that's nice. But I'm going to be having to try to avoid those as best as possible. I completely forgot about them. Thankfully, they don't put a lot of them down here in the beginning. They start going up in more as you approach toward the boss here. But I'll have to keep an eye out for those, certainly. I don't think... Oh, we gotta put her right here. Alright, and then Lucius, like as I said, will be on station to heal people. If you, in fact, why don't I move Eliwood first? Just so I don't have to worry about any of that nonsensicalness. I don't think anybody here has Reaver weapons or anything. However, they do have hand axes. And Eliwood should be able to make quick work of them regardless. I don't care for Eliwood's spear or javelin throwing animation. It looks a little like he's a little bit like having a hard time. And then as you saw, his dodge animation literally is him just like adjusting like a couple of pixels. It doesn't even look like he's actually dodging anything. So, unfortunately, Eliwood's animation's not spectacular, but I guess that's only one thing I have to complain about. Let's take care of this mercenary fellow. Probably just should have left that for Eliwood now that I'm thinking about it, but mercenaries are mean, so... And we'll take care of this here archer. In fact, I'll probably do it one hit with a silver bow. That's another thing, too. People give Rebecca a lot of garbage for not being able to kill things, but anybody with a silver weapon and a decent amount of strength can kill anything in a single hit. 17 is certainly really, really good for her. This is actually probably one of the better Rebecca stats that I've ever seen. Her skill's a little on the low side, but other than that, looks like she gave all of her a lot of her speed points to Heath by the looks of it here. At any rate, nobody needs to be healed yet, so Lucius doesn't have to do anything. But we're going to need to deal with that bolting sage sooner, probably, rather than later. Thankfully, Eliwood, with his really competent 19 strength, can one round this knight with just a javelin. And one more kill will be a level for him. Where that kill is going to come from is another matter entirely. Yeah, I could have gotten away with the stork bow, I guess, because that guy was already hurt. That's okay. That druid I just noticed is popping down. I wonder what he's planning on doing. Probably making my life miserable, as he tends to do. Thankfully, Heath with a Delphi shield takes no damage from bows at all, hardly. Anything short of a silver, and he'll just kind of shrug it off. Wow, he's 1 point from capping speed already. And I think that's S rank in spears for him, which I'm okay with. And here's another kill for Lyn. Almost assuredly, there's no way this guy's fast enough to not get doubled. And an unnecessary critical hit on 2 HP, but what do you expect? That's what always happens in these kinds of games, I've found. There we go, more speed. She need, you know, that's the thing, is sometimes I have Lyn not be quite as fast as she should be, which is an oddity, because she's normally incredibly fast. But sometimes she doesn't get quite fast enough. I guess it really does depend. Oh man, tell me that bolting guy will just die from the fire. Oh, it's not him, it's the sage that has it. And I do not believe the sage actually moves. That's okay. One thing at a time. Alright, let's take care of these silly fighter peoples. That'll be a level up for Eliwood, I believe. Yep, just enough. Get some speed, pal. Hey, there we go. Strength, speed, and luck. Not bad. Would have preferred some defense too, but you know what? I will take the speed. And then we're just going to have Rebecca sit here and poke at some people, as is tradition. So something else I kind of wanted to touch on. I was actually asked about this off the air, so to speak, by not necessarily by a viewer, but a friend of mine. Given my history with this series and how I've played various other installments in the franchise, this is a very unique installment in that there are 3 principal lords, pretty much. Most of the time there's only 1. Maybe 2 in the case of Sacred Stones or Echoes or something like that, but I would say 80% of the time there's only 1 principal lord. And this, I think, is the only one that has as many as 3. That being said, Sacred Stones comes immediately after this and has 2, and they're twins. Path of Radiance, I guess it could be argued that Radiant Dawn has several, but there's really only 2 that are significant to the story, and that's Ike and Micaiah. Ike already being over from Path of Radiance and Micaiah being the new one. Awakening has... It could be argued that both Crom and the Avatar are just as important, but the Avatar is not a lord. He's like the player craftable character that's, you know, part of the story, but not the main character, so to speak. And then, obviously, Fates, the main lord, is your character, so that's a whole different kettle of fish there. I'm sure I've talked about the fact that I'm not that big of a fan of Fates, but I'm really not that big a fan of Fates. That being said, everything before this particular game was basically one lord apiece, except with the exception of Gaiden, which has 2. So the very first game had Marth, obviously. Gaiden / Echoes had Almond Celica. Mystery of the Emblem, once again, just had Marth. Although with the remake, new Mystery of the Emblem, there's once again a player-creatable character. That was the first installment, I believe, that had a player-customizable avatar character. And only Japan got that one. For some reason, we've been getting every Fire Emblem game since this one in America, but they skipped number 12, which was a remake of the 3rd game. Why we didn't get that one, I'll never understand. I really would have liked to have played it. Especially because it's a direct sequel to Shadow Dragon, which is the remake of the first one, which we did get. So, again, I don't quite understand why they skipped that one, but... the 4th one is... There's technically 2 different generations in that one. The main lord, the first generation being Sigurd. Oh wow, the fire traps can kill you. I didn't think they could. I thought they just reduced you to 1 HP. Well, you learn something new every day. That being said, we're going to go to Javelin Town on these mages here. Because Eliwood would like the experience points. That warrior, however, is going to be in range to come whack him one. He's got a hand axe, so I'll be able to retaliate. As long as he doesn't get hit by the bolting and the hand axe, I think he'll be fine. Even if he does, he's got reasonably good defenses, he might be okay. And if he's not, we have Lucius for that, so... At any rate, Sigurd is the main lord of Genealogy of the Holy War. That's the 4th game in the series. Oh man, she can't... One round with a longbow. The longbow's really weak, though, I'm not surprised. It'd be cool if she critical hit this guy. Look at that, see? Ask and ye shall receive. Perfect. And a free elixir for the deal. That's not a bad trade-off there, I don't think. We can move Heath up there. Whoops, a little too, not quite far enough. Might be able to coax this guy into going for Heath instead because he can't retaliate at range. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And this guy's gonna get wrecked by a javelin to his face. That sage does move by the looks of it, but I think he only moves so he can get in range to bolting somebody. Obviously, you did see that, so... I don't know that Eliwood will be able to work his way up to him, but if nothing else, Lyn will be able to pick him off, so... So I was saying, Genealogy of the Holy War, Sigurd is the main lord. He is the first lord to be on a horse, I believe. And then in the 2nd generation of Genealogy of the Holy War, Sigurd's son, Seliph, is the main character. So it could be argued that it's still only one principal lord. It's just, you know, the one lord and then his kid in the next... Wow. Look at that. I'm okay with that. That was actually... He kind of needed to do that, actually. Hey, defense and resistance, along with some skill and luck. Would have preferred more speed, but again, I will take whatever I can get. Looking good, Eliwood. Looking good. You might be okay. You might be okay for the end game. Again, we'll have to wait and see, but so far he's turning out just as much... a little bit better than I would have expected. Again, we're going to kind of let him take out as many guys as we can on his own without any interference. That sage is going to run out of bolting eventually. He's going to keep missing Eliwood with it. That's the idea, at any rate. Eliwood's evasion, pretty good. And then we can kind of poke at this guy with a steel lance. And that will finish him off in a single hit. Then I got to deal with a sniper too, but again, javelins do wondrous things. Look, a free rapier, everybody. I can put away the... No, I'll put the other one. Let's put this one up. I don't want to drop it. Oh, that's a tough sell. You know what? Yeah, get rid of the 8 one. I can't sell it anyway, so... Bummer. Oh well. That's okay. It's not like he strictly needed to be using that anyway. Let's move our support people up here a little bit. That being said, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so main lords, it went Sigurd in Generation 1 of FE4, and then Seliph, his son, in the 2nd generation. And then the 5th game, Thracia 776, is actually sort of a... It's not a sequel, per se, to Genealogy. It actually takes place in between generations 1 and 2 of FE4, so it's kind of like a side quest almost, if you think about it. That being said, the main lord of that is, I choose to say Leif, like Leif Erikson, the Viking explorer. But however, I've come to realize that it actually is Leif, is how you pronounce his name. And the reason why I've come to understand that is because it was vocalized in Fire Emblem Heroes, and I choose to accept that as canon because that is the official North American localization. So it is Leif. That being said, he is Sigurd's nephew from FE4. It is his sister's kid, so his sister being married to one of his best friends, and then Leif is their kid. So he's an okay guy. I haven't actually played 3, so yeah, that's the only one I've not touched in some capacity. And the reason for that is I'm told, like, first of all, I can't find a reliable translation patch for it. I'm sure there's one out there, I just can't find one that's up to my standards, and I have very high standards, unfortunately. That being said, I can't find a good translation patch, and also it is widely regarded to be by far the most difficult of all Fire Emblem games. And it's not that that scares me or anything. I'm sure I could handle it with given enough experience, given enough time to learn what's going on and the battlefield mechanics and all that fun stuff. But it's the only one I have not played yet. I have English translated ROMs of Genealogy of the Holy War and FE6, The Binding Blade, which is this one is the prequel to. More strength for Lyn. Look at that. I have not finished either of them, but I've gotten far enough that I feel like I've got a pretty reasonably good grasp on them. I have not played the original 1, 2, or 3, but I have played the remakes of 1 and 2 that were localized in the US. I have not played Mystery... Okay, I lied. I've not played Mystery of the Emblem either. Neither the original nor its remake. And again, I'm sure there's a localization patch for that somewhere, but I have yet to find one. So I guess there's 2 that I have not played. All the rest of them, however, I have beaten. I own every one that's been localized in English in America, in the physical cartridges of them all, or discs in some certain cases. Oh, completely unnecessary javelin throw here. In fact, I'm going to break the thing. Oh, look at that. I have 1 throw left. That being said, Eliwood is going to need a heal right quick. He's going to get to level 5 off this guy, I believe. Yeah, single silver sword swing should take this guy down. I think Eliwood will be okay to take out the boss. He's going to have some... He might have some issues with... he might get crit. I hope not, but it could happen. Look at that. Nice level. Eliwood, you're doing alright, man. You're doing alright. He's got a very high strength cap. His strength cap's at 27, I want to say, which is pretty darn good. That being said, his speed only caps at 24, and I really wish it was higher. I was hoping it'd be somewhere in the range of like 26. Hector's speed cap is 24. A normal general's speed cap is 24. So I really would have hoped that Eliwood, being a mounted knight, would have a little more speed than that. I would settle for 25 even, but I was also quick to be reminded that even regular cavaliers and paladins in this game only have a 24 speed cap. Unless you're Isadora, because the females of certain classes tend to have more speed and more resistance, and sometimes even more skill than their male counterparts. I guess that's their way of differentiating the 2 genders for some reason. Not that they need to. Oh, geez, he's coming right for me, isn't he? Georg. This could be a problem. Okay, thankfully Eliwood knows how to dodge. He does, however, need a heal, and he's not getting one because my healer is nowhere to be found right now. Thankfully, he does have an elixir, but he has no means of retaliating at range against this guy. Oh, I do double him. That's pretty nice. But before I worry about that, in fact, I can box him into a corner here, so he has no choice but to be at melee range. So why don't I get right on him here and heal up, and then Eliwood can feasibly take him down on his own. He's competent enough, I believe, to do that. And then we can knock this wall down with my other people and see if they can give him some support if necessary. Oh, look at that. S rank light for Lucius, I believe. Yep, look at that. Perfect. I could actually attack this guy from here with Rebecca, but I'm not gonna worry about that for the moment. So, like I was saying, I'm sorry I keep getting sidetracked. I'm trying to talk about this game while also trying to talk about something else. I don't want to just do game commentary for you guys because I feel like that's, you know, it's just boring to listen to me say, look what's happening on the screen. So I'm trying to find some material to fill in that maybe will interest you guys if you're at all curious about some other aspects of this franchise. I don't know anywhere near as much as some of the more seasoned veterans. Like, there's plenty of Fire Emblem YouTubers on the internet, several of whom that I actually do watch myself in my spare time, that are much more familiar with this franchise, have played all the games, know where their workings in and out, have beaten them several times, yada yada yada. Sadly, my experience with this franchise is not quite so in-depth necessarily. I know a lot about the ones that I've played, let's put it that way. This one, for example, I know a ton about this game. There's very little I don't know. And there's the unnecessary critical hit right at the end with the last hit there. It's a cool crit, though. I like how he rears up on his horse and whatnot. You and Sir Roland are as one. Whoa, so this is where you get the idea that's like, oh, Eliwood not only is a descendant of Roland, but he might be like the reincarnation of Roland, quote-unquote. He's got a lot of resistance, doesn't he? I just noticed that. Oh, crud. Now I gotta... Oh, you know, I can grab the silver sword because I only have one use left. There we go. That worked out pretty well, didn't it? And now all I have to do is walk Eliwood on top of this here little throne, and that's it. GG. That didn't take anywhere near as long as I thought it would. We're actually only at 25 minutes, and it's already finished. You stood your guard for so long. I'm sorry. That being said, there is quite a lot of story exposition following the end of this chapter, so this might run a little long anyway, because I'm just going to get it all out of the way. So this is not the only one of these legendary weapons that was sealed away. This is just one of them. This was Roland's, the Durandal. The Little Knight, Sir Roland. And there he is. That is Sir Roland himself. Notice he doesn't actually move his mouth. It's not actually Roland, it's like his memory or his spirit or some such, but for some reason it lives on inside the sword. I guess that's the idea. I know it's the same case with the weapon that Hector gets. Basically, the spirit of the person who wielded it inhabits the weapon still. And lends it. I guess that can't be where it got its strength initially, because they were the ones using it back then. So this boy is descended from your blood. Please lend him your strength. He's like, wait. Its blade shall serve as a vessel for my soul's strength. Something tells me he's not all upset about that. It's interesting that he recognizes Athos. I don't believe when Hector has the same interlude during his quest with the character that used to wield his weapon, I don't think there's the same interlude with Athos. Look, above the altar, a sword. It belongs to you now. Well, it's true and it isn't. So, Durandal is just one of the legendary weapons. There's one for each of the 8 legends, obviously. Athos still has his. Durandal is the Sword of Sacred Fire, obviously. Athos, you'll actually get to see his later, believe it or not. Hector gets a giant battle axe called Armads, which you will be intimately familiar with if you've at all played Fire Emblem Heroes. So here comes the exposition, and you'll notice the text is kind of crawling, and that's by design. I cannot make this go any faster. This is as fast as this is going to go. And I actually can't make this go any faster without skipping it entirely. So I apologize for that, for the sluggishness here, but this is because this is a very integral part of the story right here, and they don't want you to miss it. The sword, it's glowing. What could it be? Watch out, something's approaching. Something's coming, whatever, close enough. Oh gods. It is a giant Dargon. It's funny that they've only ever heard of dragons in, like, books and stories, but they immediately recognize one as soon as they see it. Although, to be fair, pretty sure, I would recognize a dragon, too, if I had just saw one, even though I've only ever seen or read about them in books and whatnot. Oh, look at that. One swing and the Dargon goes down. That's how strong Durandal is. Eliwood, are you alright? His body moved on its own. That's a little scary, isn't it? It's like you're being possessed by the sword. I don't know that I would appreciate having a really powerful weapon that I technically couldn't control. Made to combat dragons. Did you see how big that thing was, too, in his hands? Don't worry, we'll have to see more of that later. This ice dragon, surely. Is something the matter, Lord Athos? No, well, not yet. Let me be the one to answer that. Who is that guy? Oh, it's Nurgle again. Go friggin' figure. Blackheart. You refer to him that an awful lot. Something tells me he's not really all that fazed by it. Ninian proved useless. I've come for a replacement. Which means he wants to... Here's the other thing. He's teleporting other people to him now? Like, since when can he do that? You'll notice that my tactician sprite is still... And here's a bug right here. For some reason, Eliwood's portrait just kind of goes pitch black. I don't really know why. And then it looks like he just put Nils to sleep and is going to take him away. Yeah, this for some reason this is some kind of crazy bug. This happens actually on the physical cartridge too. This is not just a side effect of my ROM here. Did you never once question it? It's a good point. He never really asked why the Ninian and Nils were needed to open the Dragon's Gate. Eliwood's like, wait, what? It can't be opened by humans. That's the secret that she was trying to tell, that she told Eliwood she couldn't tell him. Like in their A support, she's like, I've been lying to you, I've been deceiving you, but I can't tell you why. And he's like, I don't care. Honeyed words. I'm not really sure that I would call them honeyed. You kind of just threatened her. Oh, he's talking about when he first called them. Yeah, I remember some time back when Ninian or Nils was talking about their history, how they used to live on the other side of the Dragon's Gate, and they were summoned through it, and it ended up being Nurgle that was doing it. Yeah, Nurgle really is, like, just the pinnacle of sadistic, evil villain. Oh, and Eliwood's back on. With his very angry face. Oh, Eliwood mad. Are you kidding me? I don't think I'd be able to control myself in that particular circumstance either. As far as I know, this is the only time this particular music is played in the entire game. Oh, snap. And what you all just saw there was Athos's magic uber weapon, the Four Blaze, and sadly it didn't do a whole lot to Nurgle. Now, what's odd about that little interlude you saw Nurgle and Athos' battle sprites, and it's not the last time you're going to see them either. Not even a legendary blade can cause me harm. A sword didn't attack you, it was magic, and you're a sage, or a master wizard man. Like, of course magic's not going to work on you as well. What was weird about that little interlude you saw was there was full battle stats on the sides, like hit rates and damage and crit rates and all that fun stuff. And if you pay close attention, it said that Four Blaze should have done 13 damage to Nurgle, but it only did 5, and I never, for the life of me, figured out why that is. I'm sure there's some sort of hard-coded thing in the game that says, hey, this only does 5 damage, even though it looks like it's going to do 13, but not really sure. And then you just saw Nurgle talk about how they've known each other for half a millennium. You didn't try all of them. You tried one. Uh-oh, Nils is awake. He looks a little zombified still. Oh, there he goes. He's fine now. And yet he's still aware of what happened to his sister. Notice Hector does not have a sad look. He just has an angry, sad face, or an angry face. Lynn does not look happy in that scene either. Alright, so that was arguably one of the most climactic parts of this particular game. So I was expecting that to take 2 episodes, actually. I knew that that story exposition was going to last a long time, but I didn't expect to actually be done with the gameplay that quickly. So apologies for the lack of commentary during that scene. I really didn't want to interrupt it. It's very, very emotionally driven, very powerful scene. So that being said, it's going to be a little more, I guess, a little more straightforward going on until the very end here. We got a couple more battle chapters, and then we'll get on to the very last part. So moving on to chapter 29 in the next episode, and then 30, and then the last chapter is 31. So we're almost there. Thank you all very much for sticking around for a little extra there. I'm glad you got to see some more of that story without me having to split it up. That's something I certainly would not have liked to have done. So that being said, until the next time, I will resume with chapter 29 in the next episode. But until that time, thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. So until then, this has been Seraphin. Have a great evening.